When is quilting a game? When you can play I-SPY with those fun novelty fabrics. Today is all about I-SPY quilts, and you want to stay tuned to the very end because there are some prizes involved.
I'm Andy, and this is True Blue Quilts, a place to enjoy, experiment, and excel as you quilt.
We're taking a look at my Snowball I-SPY pattern. I-SPY quilts have been around for generations. Everybody remembers that classic game, I spy something red, and then you can find it. These are great gifts to give young children. It really ties those generations together because you can sit with this quilt on your lap and start pointing out all the different objects. I see a butterfly. Do you see a bird? And then you look all through the quilt. And part of the fun of these quilts is collecting those different novelty fabrics. And this is a great way to swap fabrics with people because you buy a fat quarter, a half yard, a yard of one print, and then you exchange with people so that you get that great variety of fabrics. There are many different ways to make an I-SPY quilt. You could have plain squares, patchwork idea, and just throw all those patches together and make yourself a quilt that way. For this I-SPY quilt, I am using a snowball block, which is a very simple way to take that basic patchwork up just a little bit by adding these accent colors in the corner. So we've taken a basic charm square and we've turned it into an octagon by piecing on all four corners. And then your quilt goes together in basic rows. You can do other variations if you want to do 4 patches, 9 patches, big, group the individual blocks together and then space them out with some sashing if you wanted to make a larger version. You could even use larger cuts of fabric. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever size you are going for, and there's lots of different ways to make that happen. So let's take a look at sewing the snowball block. Let's get ready to make a snowball block. The snowball is just created by adding triangles to the corners of your charm square. You'll have to audition some fabrics to see how big you want to make your corners. I've decided on about 2 inches, 1 3/4 actually. And my easy guide for this, I'm going to be sewing from corner to corner. So I just fold my fabric squares in half to make that sewing line. And then I don't have to use any fancy marking tools. I can follow that straight line with the guides on my presser foot. So with these little pieces, you want to make sure you are sewing across the square. You don't want to be sewing into that corner. So I'm going to line those up and use a pin if you need to. I'm going to line that right up with my needle. Get to know your sewing machine so you can put some taper markings down there so you know where that line needs to go. And just sew from corner to corner. I'm going to follow that fold line. And then I have some leader ender squares that I'm going to just feed right through there. So for a good size child's quilt, you will need at least, let's see, 10 by 4.5 inch squares is going to get you around 45 inches. I'm assuming, you know, you start with your 5-inch square and then take it down. And then however long you want it. So you're going to need, you know, 60 to 80 charm squares. And if you want them all different, then that's going to take some time to collect. So I've sewn from corner to corner, and I am going to finger press that back. And then I will place my next piece in the corner. Just line it up there with the previous cut. And so if you had multiple charms ready, you would be able to chain piece, which always saves some time and a little bit of thread. But I am just using those leader ender scraps that I can put together in a crazy quilt later. Again, finger press, and you can see that gives me a pretty even line there among the triangle and the leftover in the charm square. So we need to do this in all 4 corners. And there we have our snowball block. One last bit will be to trim. If you have worked with 1/4-inch seams for a while, you will be able to eyeball that and just trim off that excess fabric. You can use something like the purple thing to get your 1/4-inch and know where to trim that. Or line up your ruler and trim off a 1/4-inch so that you have your seam allowance there, and then press that block with those corners folded back, and you have your snowball block ready to go into an I-SPY quilt. I'd like to have some fun with this I-SPY idea and a scavenger hunt. So what you'll need to do is sign up for the True Blue Quilts newsletter, which is linked down in the video description. And from April 21st to the 30th of 2020, I am going to have an online scavenger hunt. And everyone is welcome to participate. You can use the daily prompts to post your own pictures, and you can get bonus entries. You can enter 2 ways. You can take a real life picture of whatever that object is for the day, and then you can get a bonus entry if you get a fabric version of the items. So if the object is, you know, I spy a yellow bus, you can go take a picture of a yellow bus down the street, or you can find a fabric version. I have some stop signs, but I don't know that in this quilt I have a yellow bus. So you can put your thinking caps on. Yes, digital versions. I know we can't go out to the stores. You may not have that novelty fabric in your stash. So if you do some online shopping, just send me a picture of your shopping cart, and that will count for your entry. And the prizes are going to be some stash packs of novelty fabrics and patterns and books from the True Blue Quilts shop. So every participant will get a little something from me, and we will have 1 or 2 bigger prizes there for all the participants in the True Blue Quilts I-SPY scavenger hunt. So I hope you'll join me. Again, details are in the newsletter link below. And have fun making your very own I-SPY quilt. I'd love to see your pictures.
Are you looking for more ideas for scrappy quilts that use up your stash? Check out the video below about my inventory quilt project. And hit that subscribe button. I will have another video next week with ways to enjoy, experiment, and excel as you quilt. I'll see you in that next video.